Hi, everybody. Today, the question that we are answering is how to know when you can't do it anymore. And this does relate to caregiving, but it really could relate to any aspect in your life. I'm going to share 6 tips or 6 insights to know that maybe you can't do it anymore and how to shift to do something else if you're a caregiver or shift from anything in your life from A to B. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is pameladwilson.com. Please click below to follow and like this channel. And I also ask you to comment. There are over 800 videos here for caregivers and aging adults to help you navigate through the healthcare system and everything related to family relationships and caregiving. Also, more information on my website at pameladwilson.com. So a lot of people say, well, how do I know when I can't do this anymore? How do I know when I can't be a caregiver or when I should change a job or move from my apartment or buy a new car or whatever, right? So there's always a point where, especially in caregiving, where you come to this crossroads and you can go this way or you can go that way. Same thing with everything else. It's kind of like making a plan for what you're going to do and then setting this imaginary boundary. And I'll use an example of a car because most of us have cars, or if we don't, maybe we've had one. But let's say that you have a car and it's getting old and you're starting to have to put money into it for little repairs and things like that. And you're thinking, oh, it's inexpensive, right? My car's paid for. My car insurance is low. I've got low maintenance. But eventually you start putting more and more into the car, maybe $1,000 here and $1,000 there. What you want to do is figure out what is that point? What's that dollar amount where the money that you're going to put into your car is probably less than the value of your car. So let's say your car is worth $5,000 and you have a repair that's going to cost you $4,000. Probably not a smart thing to do because if you need a repair that's that expensive and your car is that old, you're probably going to put $4,000 into it. And then 2 months later, you may need to put another $2,000 into it. So you're kind of putting money into something that's falling apart, right? So it's probably better to put that money into a new car where you would have less repairs. So caregiving is kind of the same thing, but these boundaries or these lines really relate to the caregiver's life, not necessarily the person that you're caring for, because they are usually older and sick and their life has a finite end time. So you're not judging it on how much longer is my parent going to live. It's what is the effect on my life? So here are some feelings that caregivers experience when it might be getting to the point where it's time to make a change. How do I know when I can't do this anymore? Are you at a point where you're feeling powerless, where your life is just totally out of control and you don't feel like you can plan or manage anything because there's so much going on? And the other thing that you do is you talk to anybody who's going to listen about your problems and about your life and all of that. Now, we all need confidants. We all need friends who will listen to us when we are having a bad day. But if your main motivation is that you are powerless and you're miserable and you want to tell everybody about it, that really does not do any good for you. And that may be this warning sign that, wow, I got to change my life. I have become so negative and so out of control that all I want to do is talk about how miserable I am. And what happens when you do that? You become more miserable. Your thoughts up here, the words that come out of your mouth, your conversations, your interactions with other people, just reinforce the fact that you're miserable and you can't get out of that spiral. So that may be a real indicator that it is time to do something else. The next one is you are doing a lot of what you don't want to do. So let's say that you traded a lot of your life for this caregiving, to care for an aging parent or a spouse. And now every day you get up and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I dread the whole list of things I have to do. It's so much and I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And you've got nothing to look forward to. There's no like, why am I doing this? There's no inspiration. There's nothing left. It's like drudgery. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not enjoying this. That could be a point where maybe time to think about a change or a shift. Another thing that caregivers will do is they will look at everybody else's life out there and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Susie's going on vacation. This person's doing something with their kids. John over here gets to go for a bike ride every Saturday. Where it gets to the point where you are envious of what other people are doing because they're making different choices, yet you are making the choice to stay in the situation that you are in. And it's really hard to realize that because many caregivers say, they're like, Pamela, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. I'm like, no, you don't have to do this. Number 4 is that caregivers forget or they do not realize that you have a choice. Now, you may choose to make a choice that restricts your life or that changes your life or that narrows your life instead of opening it up to all of these opportunities, right? That's a choice. And sometimes there are no ideal choices. Sometimes we just have to do something because we have to do it and it's time sensitive and a parent needs this or, whatever. But choices have long-term consequences. So maybe you do something today that is a choice that you don't want to do, but tomorrow you could choose differently, or 2 weeks from now you could choose differently, or 3 months from now you could choose differently. Just because we feel stuck in the moment doesn't mean that we can't change the next day and the next day and the next day. Number 5, for how do I know when it's time for a change? Who are you spending time with? Are the people that you are spending time with discouraging and negative and unhappy? If so, what do you think happens to you? We are all affected by our environment, affected by the people around us and the things that we do and the things that we do every day. So if you only spend time with people who are negative and discouraging, you're going to lose your self-confidence. You are going to lose your self-esteem. You're going to feel like your life is so limited and so narrow that you can't do anything. And then you're going to become one of those people who are like, oh, you can't do that. That'll never work. What are you thinking? Are you crazy? You can't do that. Because that's the audience that you spend all of your time with. And then number 6, this is a great one because we have all done this, myself included. We make excuses for why we can't do something or why we can't change or why we have to be limited in life. We've all done it. It's part of life. But the big thing in all of these insights about, is it time to make a change? Should I make a change? Should I do something different? Is to realize that you have this amazing power that, most people don't even use because you don't recognize you have it. You can train your mind. You can train up here to get what you want. Now, first of all, you have to realize that that's possible, and you have to believe that that's possible. But here are a few thoughts. What if you tell your mind that you are willing to see your situation as impossible or as difficult that it might be? You're willing to see that it can change. And you're willing to do whatever it takes to change it. Now you have to understand exactly what that is, right? But you can't get there until you realize that you can change it and you have an idea for what you want your life to look like. So start there. If you are stuck in a situation, realize that you can change it. May not be easy, but you can change it. Number 2, what do you want your life to look like? Write it down on a piece of paper. What makes you happy? What used to make you happy? What things did you used to enjoy? What things do you dream of doing? If that's what you want, write it down because you want it. Then you got to figure out how to get there. You also have to give yourself permission to say, you know what, I'm going to do this regardless of what other people are telling me. So regardless of the negative people in my life who say, oh, you can't do that. That'll never work. You're in a pretty safe situation right now. Why risk the change? Now, admittedly, there are risks to everything, pros and cons. But if you're careful about making a plan and you work sequentially to manage the risk of something unexpected happening, a lot of really great things could possibly happen. Your life could be so different a year from now, you would be amazed. So the other thing that you have to do to be able to stay on track with this, once you figure out what you want your life to look like and how you're going to get there in a path, is daily positive reinforcement. And a lot of that comes from up here. So whether you have to listen to a happy song, read a book, watch an inspirational video, do something every day that reinforces these positive behaviors so that you can train your mind to be positive and to get you from where you are today to where you want to be. The other thing is to think for today. Don't say, well, I'll be happy tomorrow or I'll be happy in a week. Honestly, why not be happy today in the moment? There's no reason. It's just that your mind is not there yet. You haven't trained your mind to say, you know what? I'm going to be happy. Mind, you have no control over me. Done with negativity. Done with, I can't do this. I'm done with being hopeless. I am just done. I refuse to go there. I want to be over here. Now, sometimes to do this, you have to figure out why you think you can't do what you want to do. And a lot of that could be just your life experience. Maybe you had a parent who was negative and they said, oh, you'll never be able to get a good job or go to college, or you can't do this, or you can't move away from the town that you live in. That is early programming in our brains. Or maybe you made a couple of mistakes and you had some bad experiences. Well, think about why that happened. What was your role in that? And figure out how to stop it from happening and move on another path, which does require creating a plan for your life. And depending on how old you are, how long you've been a caregiver, what your life is like, the older you get, the more you realize how quickly time passes and the fact that it can take time to accomplish some of these dreams, right? So if you're 65, you may have a very short time frame. You may have, 15, 20, 30 years left. Where if you're 20, you might have 80 years left. So there is this runway. There is this time frame for getting what you want and doing what you want. So if you are a caregiver stuck in an impossible situation, or really anybody, you're in a job that you hate, you don't like where you live, evaluate all this, figure it out, and figure out how you are going to make the change and how you are going to get there. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. A lot of support on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, my caregiving library, my book, The Caregiving Trap, my podcast, The Caring Generation. Over 800 videos here on my YouTube channel. Again, please like, follow, comment. It helps other people looking for hope, help, and support to find these videos. Have a fabulous day today. I will see you all again soon in another video.